Hi everyone, it's Jessica. Welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. And I was thinking about what to share today, and what came to mind is the idea of leaning into the chaos. And I'll explain what I mean through a personal example, which is going through jet lag. I'm like a week in from coming back from China, where the time difference from New York is 12 hours. It was 13, but then now it's 12 because of daylight savings. And so I usually, I think a week in, am like more or less regulated by now. Like, having what I mean by that is like I have returned to like my normal sleep wake, eating cycles. But this time, I'm still not like back to normal. I still wake up like super early and then sleep at weird times. And I have a very weird appetite where like I just don't feel like eating that much. I don't really crave like whole actual meals, but rather just like snacks and stuff. So, yeah, it's been an interesting period of time for jet lag, and it made me think of the idea of leaning into the chaos because I think sometimes like we often have these expectations for like what things should look like by when. So the example I used was like usually a week after coming back, I am like pretty much back to normal in terms of my jet lag, but like this time I'm not. So I think the way that I used to think about things was often like, oh, like, why am I not back to normal? I would have a lot of worry and anxiety about why I wasn't where I thought I should be. And I might like force myself be to like conform to the idea of like where I think I should be and like how I should be acting at that time, and just like put a lot of like pressure and anxiety and worry on myself, and questioning like why I'm not where I think I should be, as opposed to just like taking like accepting where I am right now in the process, and the state of this, like the state of the state, like how things are, as opposed to like how things should be in my mind. So the reason why I am bringing up like leaning into the chaos is because I think often some of us, like especially maybe those who have like a perfectionist type of personality, or you like to like control situations or feel like you have control, or you yeah might have those like worries or anxieties about things like the future and things like that, or like how you're doing right now. I think it's important to keep in mind that chaos and like ugliness and just general unruliness is like part of the process. And I think a more helpful way I've found to frame situations is like, instead of looking at it as something to be avoided, you can instead think about it as just part of the process. Like they say, it gets worse before it gets better. Like when you think about cleaning a room, you often are like throwing a bunch of stuff out, right? Or if you have like a lot of laundry, it's like it looks like a mess, right? There's like so much stuff everywhere. And then slowly you're like folding your socks, or like putting your like papers away, or something. And then eventually you're like, wow, it's like so clean. But often we have to go through that process of it looking like so messy, and like maybe even worse than we started, which is the chaos of it all. And then it's like okay, knowing that that's part of the process, and then eventually if we keep cleaning and if we keep working at it, like, it will get clean eventually. So bringing it back to the jet lag example, I feel like now I'm more trusting of like, okay, I don't think my jet lag is improving like at the rate that it usually might, but at the same time like I trust that it will eventually like sort itself out, and like in the meantime I will just try to respect like where I'm at, like what my body needs and everything in the meantime, and just like lean into the chaos, like even if I feel like it's so like messed up, like my sleep schedule is so weird, but I will still just like, sleep when I can. If I'm tired I can just sleep and not be too like harsh on myself for not being where I have been at this time historically. So I share that to say that it's okay to lean into the chaos because the chaos is part of the process. And we know that things progress towards entropy, like entropy is real. So chaos is entropy, basically. So, yeah, things will move towards entropy. It's normal and natural. And I think if we do what we can to um, give ourselves what we need at the time, like wherever we are right now, in whatever state we're in, eventually things will sort themselves out because we have, like taken care of ourselves, given ourselves what we need, and then eventually we will return to some sort of like homeostasis. And I hope that resonated with you in some way, like the idea of leaning into the chaos, like knowing that it might be ugly, it might get worse before it gets better, but just like trusting in that process of returning to the homeostasis and like things like sorting themselves out too. So, thanks for watching. I hopefully will be more, I don't know, like back to normal in terms of sleep and eating and all of that. I think it is getting better, but it's just taking more time than usual. So I'm giving myself the compassion and time that I need to get back to like my normal schedule and all of that. Um, Again, hope this resonated with you in some way too. The idea of leaning into the chaos. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.